Welcome to Odoo Live. My name is Todd Farnham, Community Manager here at Odoo San Francisco. And joining me today is Jessica Beavers, Resident
Hello.
Odoo Expert and Business Advisor, here today to talk about inventory. Thanks so much for joining us.
Sure, absolutely. So today I'm going to go over functional warehouse management. And it's going to be about a 30-minute demo. And then after that, we're going to do Q&A. But this is going to be a pretty, I wouldn't say very in-depth, but somewhat preliminary mid-depth range into functional warehouse management. So on the demo, we're going to go in.
Just real quick. And just for the record, for anyone who's new, if you want to answer any questions or pose any questions throughout, just enter them in the chat box. And if you like this video, found it useful, make sure that you like it and subscribe to the channel. Now, sorry for interrupting, and back to you, Jessica.
Okay.
You take it from here.
Thanks, Todd. Sorry about that.
No, you're great.
Okay, so on the demo, we're going to go over warehouse and location setup, product setup and updating stock quantities, warehouse operations, receiving, delivering, drop shipping, internal transfers and routes. And then lastly, we're going to kind of tie everything together and show how the system can help streamline and trigger automations for reordering rules, purchase orders, delivery orders, manufacturing orders, and projects. And this will really show you how flexible Odoo is as an ERP system. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to go into the inventory app. And this is what our dashboard looks like. It's every time we have an item that comes in received, we're going to see it here. Same goes for internal transfers, delivery orders, manufacturing, point of sale, and drop ship. You can always add more warehouses, and just to point out, this is a warehouse for demo company. But if you wanted to add another warehouse, you would come in here and just select the warehouse name, and then a short name, and then of course the address. That's pretty important. We'll get down into detail here a little later in the demo. Another thing I wanted to point out is the locations. So you can have multiple locations within your one warehouse. Let's go ahead and look at location A. So you have location A, and then you have it attached to the parent location. What's very cool about this setup is you can have parent-child locations, parent-child-child locations. So you can actually have location A be the parent location, and then this be a location within that. And then, of course, you can assign a barcode to this location and make sure to have full traceability upon receiving that item to know exactly where it goes. And you would define the localization if that is what is needed. Location type, you can assign this to, it can be a customer location if you wanted to put inventory aside, procurement, production, transit locations. You can assign an owner, so anyone that needs to just focus and manage this one location, you would put this here. And then removal strategies, first in, first out, last in, first out, first expiration, first out. That's for consumables for food. And then, of course, you can assign a put away strategy here. Let's go ahead and save that out. Now let's go ahead and dip straight into the products. This is the icon view of all of your products, and for fun, we're going to be putting together, the company is, well, my last name is Beavers, but we have a drone, and so we have the components to make a drone, and this is Beaver Drone, the item we're going to manufacture, and I'll show you how to kind of do that within the system. But then we have an item here, Phantom Drone, that we're going to drop ship. So there's going to be multiple things going on within this demo. You can view this data in multiple ways. You can view it as in linear fashion, and when you're doing that, you have the ability to filter. You can filter by sale price here. You also have all of these different options. And you can add custom fields here. And just to show you how flexible this is, it could be pretty much anything that you can think of. Is equal to, is not set to, doesn't contain. And you can also add conditions. So you can get very granular with your data. And our system allows you to manage multiple thousands and thousands of SKUs. And that's why we have very robust reporting functionality. Another thing is you can do group by, add custom group. In this instance, I'm going to group by internal category. We're going to apply that. And of course, we're in the linear view. So these are our categories of our products. But if we wanted to go into the Kanban view, we have different categories. What's neat about this is if this needed to be changed into category, I could just drag and drop it, and it'll update that category to drone camera. Let's go ahead and go back, drag it back, go back in, and now it's drone frame. So it's a great way to update product categories. Let's exit out of there. Let's go into the product page again, and let's dive into a product. And I'm going to show you in this case how to set up a product within Odoo. So you give it a name, and you can set it as a stockable product or a service-based good. This is important because this will allow you to set up different automations and triggers. And I'll talk about the triggers for a service-based good. Right now, let's have it as a stockable product. We set the category, we assign the price, unit of measure. So say you're selling a big bag of rice and you want to sell it in pounds. You would set the unit of measure here. The same thing goes if you want to purchase this unit of measure in gallons, but then sell it in pounds. You could assign these rules here. We have variants for camera A. And I went ahead and set these up, but it's very simple to do. So say you have size, you can add size, and we can do small and medium. And I want to first point out we have 9 variants. Let's go ahead and save this out. And when we do that, it's going to update now to 18 variants. Let's dive into that. Now, this is an individual product with different attributes. And this is very good for custom manufacturing. If you wanted to get 90% of what you wanted to, all the customizations up to 90% into the system, you could do it this way. And you can build out, okay, these are the attributes of camera A. You can also update the price. Oops, let's actually go back here. So you could change the price for each one of these here. Or what you can do is dip into variant prices, and then this is where you could change the price for red to be add $50. Actually, that doesn't make sense. Let's not do that. Let's do super zoom. We add it's going to be $1,500 more. It's going to be for a wide angle lens, $2,000 more. And then this isn't published on the website, but if we were to see what it looked like, and this is also, by the way, you can customize this and make it look a lot better, but it allows the user to really kind of customize their item. Let's dip back into inventory. Let's go back into products. Camera A. So that kind of broke down the variants there. And let's go into the sales module. And this is where you can, configure the point of sale if you want to assign it to a category, if you want to be able to weigh this item on a scale and price it out accordingly. The website, e-commerce categories, if you wanted alternative products to be populated upon camera A in the website, you could do that there. Same with accessory products. Here, you can set rules on whether you want to sell it regardless of stock. The purchasing side, this is where you can tie the purchase module application comes into play. And you would link a vendor to camera A. And in this instance, it's Camera Cyclone. And we have that when we purchase from Camera Cyclone, there's going to be a minimum purchase of 10. And we're going to purchase at the price of $15 each. And we have a delivery lead time of one day. And I'll dip into reordering rules a little later when we talk about automations. Now we go into the inventory side. Now the automations that I am going to touch on later and actually show in a very kind of soup to nuts demo is configured at this level. Right now we have a camera A. When this item sells, it's going to be a purchase order is going to be immediately put in place because it's going to be make to order, it's going to be an immediate, and it's going to be bought. We can configure it to be manufactured or drop shipped. For traceability, you can have traceability by unique serial number, by lots, or no tracking. See, when I do click by unique serial number, you have this populating up at the right. And that will allow you to actually add serial numbers to each one of these variant items, and it can get very granular. And for right now, we're going to keep it pretty simple. So we're going to set it at no tracking, and this is where you could assign the production lead time, the customer lead time. Within invoicing, this is where it ties to the accounting app. Odoo has a pretty robust landed cost functionality. It's actually a system that's very unique to Odoo. That would be really talked about in a webinar focusing on sales management. I highly recommend that. Here you could set whether you want to be invoiced based on the ordered quantities or the delivered quantities, and the same with the purchase bill on this product. When do you want to control that purchase bill? Dip into notes here, and these are descriptions for the customer, notes that are going to be attached to the PO, notes that are going to be attached to the delivery order, and also to internal transfers. This would be notes when you receive the item in-house. Say if you want this item to go to a specific location, if this item needs careful handling, you would input those notes there. Now that I touched on that, let's look at the very top. In Odoo, you have a 360-degree view around each one of your products. Okay, so we talked about variants. Let's look at the quantity on hand. Oops. Right now we don't have any quantity on hand, so we're going to update it. And we're going to set it at, let's say, 200. Immediately that's going to be updated there. You're going to see the product moves, any of the reordering rules that you set, all the sales that are going to happen to camera A, bill of materials, manufacturing, and purchases here. Now I want to make sure that my route is configured correctly here, and it is. So great. So that's kind of an overview of a product page and what that would look like to set up. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is adjusting stock levels. And like I just showed you, you can do this manually by updating the quantity on hand, or you can look at this at a linear view, click on all of them, and see action and print. These buttons just populated. If you want to just select a few of them, they would still populate, and you could do an easily export-import of this data. It's very easy to export-import. I wouldn't say easy. There are some caveats that I can dive into a little later, but you would basically assign the fields that you would want to export, create the import document, and then input data fields, input the data into those fields, and then import it back into Odoo. And I'll touch on that really quickly. The reason why exporting and importing into Odoo is not very simple and straightforward is somewhat simple, but it's because each one of these applications is considered its own data set, its own data table. And the way that they correspond is through relational fields. And if you're importing data into Odoo, it's going to be populated not just in one app. It's going to be communicated across the system. And so if you're wanting the inventory to be talking to the purchasing side and to have certain data attached to that, you need to know those relational fields. Another way to adjust the inventory is to do inventory adjustments. And let's make one. Let's go ahead and do an initial inventory. And here we can choose to do initial inventory of all the products in this location or in this warehouse, or we can do it only on one product category or on one product only. Let's go ahead and do it on all products, and we're going to include all the exhausted products. Let's start the inventory. Odoo will immediately spit out this form here, and it's going to say the theoretical quantity that you have on hand is this item. And when you want to change, you just go in and say, okay, camera A, we have 50. And so you can do it very simply this way. Another thing that you can do is you can add unique serial numbers to all of these SKUs here. You can add the packages, or you can change the unit of measure. So let's go ahead and validate this inventory. And now when we go to inventory adjustments, this is the initial inventory we did on this date. And so you could set up daily inventory checks, weekly inventory checks, and you can always save them here and reference them later. Okay, so we're moving right along. Now we're going to discuss the inventory operations, and this is where we get into where Odoo can really shine. We're going to focus on the receipts first, and what we're going to do is we're going to utilize some of these other applications here. And we're going to show how when a PO comes into Odoo, it's going to spit out a PO receipt on the inventory side to alert whoever's going to be waiting for that item to be received in stock. So let's go ahead and create a purchase order. And we're going to do the vendor is Camera Cyclone. We can set the ordering date. Let's say we expect to, let's say the ordering date, it's Thursday. And the product we want to order is this one. So I had set, I don't know if you remember, but I had set on my product level that when I purchase this item, I want to automatically purchase 10 items. So that's here. So let's go ahead and save this out. And let's confirm the order. Notice I have one shipment that was immediately populated. And this is coming into our warehouse, and this is the number assigned to this receipt. Notice the source document. It's going to be attached to the initial PO number. And so when this item comes in, you can tie those two together. And we have the source location, it's coming from the vendor. Also notice that you can print the picking operation slip, just to show you what that looks like. And so this barcode has a location of this item. It has all the data that you need to bring this into Odoo. How do I get out of this here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Todd. Excellent. Okay, and we have that it's ready. So now let's look what that's going to appear on the receiving end. And it came into our receipt. So let's go ahead and open this. Here's Camera Cyclone. There it is. Now when we receive it, we can edit and say, okay, we asked for 10. Say we only received 5, and we're still waiting for our 10. So let's save this out, and let's try to validate it. The system is going to say, hey, you ordered 10, you only received 5. Why don't you go ahead and create a back order? What that is going to do then is create another receiving form that's going to be tied to this purchase order, but it's going to be now set for 5. And to show you what that looks like, we now have an item on back order. This is it, and it's going to be for 5. It's waiting. It's waiting for us to validate it. Upon that item coming in, we're going to edit this out. Okay, yes, we received 5. Save it. Now let's validate it. And it's done. And now we have 0 to receive. Click on this box and you'll see all your receipts here. And you can filter this in many different ways. And you can also see it on a calendar view. Like, I am expecting to receive this item from, let's just go ahead and dive in and see what it looks like. I'm expecting to receive 10 from Camera Cyclone on the 8th. If something happened and they contact you, and it's not possible for them to deliver at that time, then you would just update it and move this item, and it'll automatically change this date. And that functionality is going to be pretty universal across several Odoo platforms, and I'll show you. Excellent. So I showed you how to do a receiving order. Now let's focus on a delivery order. Let's create a sale. And you can do it at the quotation level, or you can just jump in and just create a sale order. And now we're going to do it for Janet Jane. Set an expiration date for her to pay. These are the payment terms, delivery method. We're going to keep it very simple because we're focusing on the inventory app right now, not additional functionality in the sales app. So now we can assign the product, sell the same good. Oops. Camera A. Pulls in the price automatically. Taxes, we work with Tax Cloud. It's an integration, and so you can set up the taxes here to be tied to where Janet Jane is located, for instance. Let's go ahead and save this out. Here's the price with the taxes. Save. Now we're going to confirm this sale. We see a delivery order that was immediately created. This is our warehouse. It's going to go out of our warehouse. This is the number attached to it. The source document that this is tied to is the sale order 22. We see also that the scheduled date for this item is the 7th. Okay. What we can do now here is we can put this in a pack. Oops, I have to do this first. Let's edit this. It's actually wanting me to say yes, we have camera A in stock. Check availability. And it looks like we might not have camera A in stock. So let's dive in there. Let's see. Okay, we do. We do have it on stock. So let's make sure we're doing this correctly here. Okay, initial demand is 1. Exit this out. And save it. What might be the case is I might not have red small super zoom in stock, and that's what's holding me back here. So let's dive into that. Let's see. Stock, 1 cell. Okay, it's going to show the forecasted here. We can dive into this pivot table if needed. We have 1 delivery order here. Okay, so let's dive out and let's look in the purchase order side. Now we have the delivery order item here waiting. And this is the item we just created for Janet Jane. And we have it where it's waiting another operation. And what it's waiting for is us to validate that this item is in stock. I probably configured something a little incorrectly on this, so that's why it's not working. But once the availability is checked, it'll then be waiting and then ready. And then it'll be in the delivery order side as 1 here to do. Just to show you how that works. Moving on, I'm going to show you how to do an inventory transfer. Now within Odoo, you can either do an immediate transfer or you can do a planned transfer. Let's talk about an immediate transfer. Let's do that one first. And you can have the source location as your stock. You can have the destination location be either an external warehouse or you can move between locations. Here we're just going to move it to location A, and we can assign a source document if that's what we want. But here we would say select a product. Okay, here, and we would want to say we want to have 10 of this item here. Let's go ahead and save that out. Let's validate it. And now we just received this item in stock and it was transferred. If we go back into inventory, it actually didn't show up because I did it so quickly, so I'll do it again. This is what we just, oops, it's at the very bottom. Let's go ahead and sort by scheduled date. Okay, and this is the one that we just did here. I'll do that again, but this time I'll do it on a planned transfer. Same thing, stock. Let's do it, assign it to location A. Let's do the product to be camera. And the initial demand, let's say again, is 10. Okay, let's save this out. And now we're going to mark this as a to-do. Now when we go into the inventory, we have here that we have an internal transfer waiting. And here we can then check the availability of this item. Once it's transferred, edit, okay, yes, we received 10 of these goods, and then validate it. And then again, you have full traceability and full insight into all of the transfers, either between external warehouses or internal locations. Okay, let's see here. Okay, last but not least in this topic, we're going to discuss drop shipping. So showing you how to configure this on a product level, we have a Phantom drone product. Now, we don't house this item, we don't manufacture it, but we do drop ship it. And we have it drop shipped from the company Phantom. And we have the price here, we don't have a minimal quantity. Let's dive into inventory. We have this as immediately upon sale of the Phantom drone, we are setting the system to drop ship this item, and that retains to being purchased from our vendor immediately on a make to order, immediately upon sale. And note that we have no inventory on hand and we don't need it. So let's go ahead and sell this Phantom drone and we can walk through what this looks like. Let's create a sale order. Let's actually just dive into orders, make it easy. Okay, and let's do Tim Jones. Pulls in all of his data. Again, you can set anything here. Add product, let's do Phantom drone. Okay, you can set the packaging, and you can also do that on the product level, and that would populate here. Let's save and close. Excellent. Now we're going to confirm the sale. Okay, once that's done, we're going to save it. Excellent. Now we're going to dive into our purchasing app because we need to validate the purchase order that we just inputted for this item. Here it is right here, the Phantom drone. It's attached to the source document, sale order 23. So this PO is tied to this sales order. So for full traceability. Let's go ahead and confirm the order. And it's going to be, and we can send this PO by email. I won't dive into the purchasing app. We have a great webinar on purchasing, highly recommend it. Now, see receive products, we can either, once those items come into our warehouse, once those items go to our buyer and we're alerted, we'll come in here and just say receive products for our books. But to show you what this looks like, we have here one to receive. So we have one item in the process of being drop shipped, and this is what it looks like here. And let's go ahead and validate it. Yep. This is going to update to one done, drop back into inventory, and now we have 0 to receive, but always we can dive into this and have full traceability into all historical drop shipments. Okay, another thing I wanted to touch on was advanced routes. Let's dive back into inventory. Now, advanced routes allows you to, per warehouse, to create different stations and processes that need to happen between those stations. For instance, you could say for all incoming shipments at this warehouse, I want these certain things to happen. For our case, we're going to trigger something on an outgoing shipment that when it needs to be, when a sales order happens, we're going to have the system tell our employees to go find this item, to go pick it, to package it, and then to ship it. So let's trigger this, and let's save this out. Okay. Another way to see that is on the route side, because what we just configured is a route. And the route we just did is pick, pack, and ship. Let's edit this out. Now what's interesting about this is you can define it to only take place on one product level, or on product categories, or you can assign it to a specific warehouse and you can define that warehouse, or on sale order lines. You can also define push roles, but within Odoo, this is an automated, it's already set up. It's basically, let's say, it's going from stock to the packing zone, from the packing zone to output, from the output to delivery to the customer. Those are our procurement rules. So let's save this, and let's go ahead and create now. Let's go into dashboard, and because we configured that, we now have 2 more stations. We have a pick, pack, and delivery of this item. So let's go ahead and make a sale. Let's do the customer, Janet Jane. To make it simple, we're going to sell the same camera. Save and close. Okay, save this out. All right, let's confirm the sale. Excellent. Now that instead of having 1 delivery, see we have 3 deliveries. And those are basically operations that need to happen. So what that looks like on the inventory side is whoever is managing this is going to be alerted of there are things that we need to do. We have one waiting, we have an item here waiting to be picked. And you can see here it says waiting another operation. We need to first check the availability that yes, we do have camera A in stock. Save this out. Okay, I'm actually going to look at something very quickly. Let's go into products. Instead of selling camera A, let's actually do it on this level. Let's edit this out. Let's make sure we have it where it's going to be a make to order. Okay, we're going to have this here. Let's save it. Let's do the inventory on hand. Let's update the inventory on hand to be 20. Apply. That's updated that there. Now we're going to do a sale order of camera B. Okay, let's do Janet Jane again. Okay, let's do camera B. Okay, ordered quantity is 1. Save and close this. There it is. Save this out. Let's confirm the sale. Excellent. Now we have 3 deliveries. Now let's go back into the inventory. Okay, and this is now where it's working. There's a weird configuration on the past product. So the first thing that we need to do is pick this item. Whoever's going to be focusing on this station is going to be alerted, hey, you have something you need to do. There's 1 transfer. Open it up. This is the item that you need to go find and pick. And the location is going to be tied to, it's here. It's going to be at the source location. If this item was in a location within the warehouse at corridor XYZ, it'll have all that data. Another thing is you can always print out these picking operations. So if you do manual, if you use paper and you manually do this, you can set up where all the picking operations that take place can be printed out and you can hand them to whomever's going to be managing. And then they'll know to manually go into it, and then they can scan the barcode and they'll automatically update the system. So let's go ahead and say, okay, initial demand. I want to say yes. We've picked it, save, we're going to validate it. Okay, this is done. Now we're going to go back into inventory. The next thing it's going to have us do is pack. We pick the item, now it's at our packing station. Let's open this up. Okay, camera B, here it is. Let's validate this. Okay, it's telling me you haven't entered done quantities. Okay, you can edit it. Yes, we have one done. Let's validate this. Also, if you hit validate several times, it'll automatically do that for you. Let's go back into inventory. Now we have it set as a delivery order. It's waiting, one to do. Here it is. Okay, now let's do validate. Okay, apply. It's going to do it for us here. Okay, inventory, and now that is done. It's been picked, packed, and delivered. So just to show you how very advanced routes can manage complex processing of products in your inventory. And you can set that up and configure it really however you'd like within Odoo. You can have limitless routes here. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now that we covered that, I want to touch on automations. And as I mentioned before, Beaver Drone, let's dive into that because we're going to look at, this is an item that we actually manufacture in-house. We have this item configured and have automation set to be that when this item sells, we're going to have an immediate manufacturing order produced for us to go create this item. Also to note that we've attached a bill of material. Let's go look at this bill of material. This drone is made up of these items, and of course it's going to be more complicated, but I've simplified it. It's going to have 4 propellers, 1 motor, a frame, a drone frame, and also a camera. What's peculiar about this 1245, let's go ahead and open this. And also to point out within Odoo, look at our traceability. These are our breadcrumbs, and we can always go back in case we get lost. But what is this 1245? This is an internal reference number that you can add to this item, and it'll be attached here. We also have it within Odoo that you can have a barcode number, and that is going to be on when you go to print for camera A, that barcode can be printed out to easily be have it entered into the system. And then you can assign an HS code for shipping, of course. But going back to what I really wanted to show you was the bill of material. And so we've set inventory levels to have these items. And so we've configured the drone in the inventory. We haven't, I won't touch on the routes that can be created in the manufacturing app. That is also, that hours and hours can be spent really drilling into how to utilize advanced routes to manufacture many different types of components. But what I want to show is Beaver Drone is our parent product. We have these subproducts going into Beaver Drone. However, motor, we can have motor also be built. And so we can go and say, no, actually, the motor needs to be built before it can go into Beaver Drone. And that's where you would configure it on this level. And that's how Odoo can manage very complex manufacturing processes, because it can say, okay, we need to build out motor 1 before we can build out Beaver Drone. Okay, let's go back into the bill of materials. Okay, that's what that looks like here. Just to show you, I'll touch on it very quickly. We're going to produce one quantity. We can assign a reference to this, and we're going to manufacture this product. Kit is if it's going to be, all these items are going to be assembled into a box. Okay, and that's a completely different type of function. So we're going to manufacture this good. Let's go ahead and save it out. And there's Beaver Drone all set up and ready to roll. Okay, another thing I want to show you is, and I haven't touched on this, is the reordering rules. And for this instance, we won't do it on Beaver Drone because we make this in-house, but we can do it on, let's say, camera B. Let's edit this, let's dip into the reordering rule, and we can create one. We can say, okay, this is the product. When we dip below 10 items, we're going to have a reordering rule of 100 items. Okay, we're going to have it sent to this warehouse. It's going to be in the product unit of measure unit. You could set this into pounds or gallons. It's going to be sent to this location, and we're going to have a lead time of 1 day. Let's go ahead and save this out. Now that that is done, we're going to have the reordering rule here. always going to be attached to camera B. We can also, if we need to run this immediately and have a PO immediately sent out, we have something called run schedulers, and Odoo by default runs the reordering rule every 24 hours, but if you want to run it immediately to issue a PO and to trigger the system, you would just run the scheduler and it'll run it immediately, and a PO would be waiting for you in the purchasing app. So do see that right now we're looking at all of our physical products. Okay, I created a service product, which also is going to show a level of Odoo, that is going to add some layers of automation. So we have Project Red, and because we're building a drone, it's just natural for us to have a service called Project Red. So just to show you how I configured this, it's a service. And what's interesting about this is selling services within Odoo, you can track and manage and really control a lot of different features when it comes to managing a service project. And that is going to be in the invoicing side. You can, of course, set it up how you want to be invoiced on this good by timesheets. So say people are out in the field and you want to have them timed on their activities, Project Red, you would set that here. Or you can say, when we sell Project Red, I want to automate a new task to be inputted into an existing project, and I've already created a project called Espionage. So that's what's going to happen there. Let's go ahead and save this out. And now we're going to create a sale order, and we're going to sell, let's do Janet Jane, expiration date, whatever here, payment terms, immediate payment, delivery method. Let's go ahead and add a product. Let's do the product is going to be Beaver Drone, because I'm going to show you how this is going to trigger a manufacturing order. Let's go ahead and save this out. And we're also going to sell the service Espionage. Save and close. Actually, that's the project. Let's do, it's called Project Red as the service name. Okay, at 50,000. Save and close. Okay, save it. Confirm the sale. Now note that immediately upon confirming this sale, we had several things happen. We had the pick, pack, and ship delivery rules triggered, and then we also had the project overview, and we have one task, and that's the task that's going to be Project Red. I'll show you how that's going to output later. Right now, let's go into the inventory side and see what it's telling our system. Right now, what we need to do first is we need to manufacture this good before we can pick, pack, and ship it. So let's go into One to Do. And it's going to say, okay, we need to first check the availability that we have all of this in stock. And it's saying, okay, you have everything in stock except camera A. And I was having issues on camera A before. So let's go ahead and dive into camera A. Close this out. Let's see here. Let's go to edit. It might be a routing issue, actually. Let's go ahead and delete these and see if that makes a difference. So now let's go back to our manufacturing order. Let's check the availability. Okay, so that's not going to work. Let's go back. Go into our Beaver Drone. Let's dip into the product here. And I'm going to just do this really quickly. I'm going to update the bill of material to get rid of this item. And this is really good that this is happening, because right now we're figuring out what's wrong with the system and we can make changes. So we're just going to get rid of that altogether. And we're going to go into the sale, and I'm going to just create it again because I really want to show you what this is going to look like. Okay, again, we'll do it quickly, and this is good because repetition creates habit. Let's do the product to be Beaver Drone. Okay, 2,500. And then, of course, the espionage. Okay. Nope, that is Project Red. Excellent. Save and close. We're going to confirm the sale. Bam, those are delivered. Those are immediately triggered. Save this out. Now let's dip into the inventory side. Now we have 2 to do. We saw, though, that this is partially available. Okay, so something, and this is really cool. Okay, so this shows you, okay, materials available. For this bill of material attached to this item, there was something not working, right? So it stopped the process, but it's telling you that, hey, this is the issue. It's in red. We're partially unavailable. However, if we dip into this one, it's waiting for us to confirm these items that we've changed. Another helpful application in this instance would be the product lifecycle management, and it's our PLM app, and it allows you to track for engineers. It's really geared to for engineers to change bill of components of a product that needs to be manufactured, or to change the route within a manufacturing process. So let's go ahead and check the availability. It says that we have all in stock. Excellent, so we can move forward. And here we have produce. Record production. If we were in the manufacturing app, if we were talking about that, I would show you how that would look. But right now, we're just going to dive back into inventory. We see that we still have 2 to do. This one's now in progress, and we can say, okay, it's been manufactured, let's mark it as done. Let's go back into inventory. And now that that is done, we see that it's here. It's now ready to be picked. Here's the beaver drone. Okay, we can validate it. Okay, into inventory. The next step is to have it packed. You can put it in a certain pack. Let's go ahead and edit this out. Let's do one here. Okay, save it. Let's go ahead and put it in a pack just for fun. Here's the pack here. Edit this out. Let's say we want the packing type to be whatever really we want here, fly or small. We can do the shipping weight. We can assign it to a location. Let's save this out. Let's go back and let's validate. Okay, we've now packed it. Now the next thing is a delivery order. It's waiting. And let's go ahead and validate this. Apply. It's going to update it here. Another thing to point out is this is also where you can return an item. So let's say that, okay, something wrong, there was a malfunction. The return location is output because it's going to be put back into the process. This is also where you can update the sale order and the PO order. Okay, so let's go ahead and issue a return. And what that is going to do is create a new document. Note that this is now going to be something that we expect to be received in our warehouse, and it's attached to this return, this shipping. So when we go back into our inventory, we see that we have one to receive, and that is the item that we're waiting on to be returned. And that's our drone. So we can validate that we received that in-house. Validate here. Now we go into inventory. For full traceability, we can find it here. Okay? Now that I've showed you how when you set configurations to manufacture a certain good within Odoo, how it goes from the manufacturing to the pick, to be picked from your warehouse, to be packed and to be delivered, I'm also going to now dive into that Project Red that we told the system to trigger in espionage. And here is the Project Red ticket. And I won't go into project. I love our project management app. It's you can have sub-levels of sub-levels of sub-levels of projects and sub-projects and subtasks, but I won't go into that. But just to show you the triggering process here. And then immediately someone can be assigned to these categories and you can start that process. But essentially, that is functional warehouse management from a kind of, I would say, a 5,000-foot view. I would love to speak with all of you to understand what you're looking to do with the system and help you do it, and particularly configure the system, Odoo, to speak directly to the customizations you need. But with that, Todd?
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Jessica, incredible presentation. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
What we'll do here just real quick is, actually, would you mind pulling up your, or just hitting Alt-Tab and then showing your
Sure.
thing so that everyone can figure out how to schedule a meeting with Jessica. Cool. So that's Jessica's email if you guys would like. And also in the meeting link or the description of the webinar, you can schedule a link directly with her at odoo.com/r/Jessica to meet with her one-on-one to find out more information on how you can fit this to your business needs. Now, we do have a handful of questions, so let me start off with the first one. So Mohammed Khalid asked, what is the purpose of a procurement location? Could you just kind of explain this with an example?
Sure. So a procurement location is when you want to have an item come into your warehouse to be procured. And it's going to manage kind of everything from receiving that item to having it be transferred and whatever pretty much process you want to happen. It's going to be the location where also within Odoo you can assign a employee to be specifically in charge of that location. And then you can have that procurement be a process as well. And that process would be it's being received, it's being picked, it's being packed. You can set the routes of a procurement location here. But anything specifically, just please email me and I can address that more directly.
Cool. Awesome. And then the second question is from JPimpin01. How do you set up a default location for a part? So like example, if you've got one part, or R20SO4 is the location, when the product has 0 on-hand quantity, would it show you where the product should go?
Sure. So you can do that actually in multiple ways. You can have it where, let's see here. Where would that be? You could set it here in locations, and then you can have, here's your current stock of all the items in this one location. Okay, and we've assigned it to this location here. And then if you wanted to go back to location A and look at all the products in this one location, we see that camera A has been assigned to this location. And then you could just really drill down here and then edit this out, and then whatever type of location you want this to be, you could set that here. You could set it as a scrap location or a return location.
Cool. All right. And then, Jessica, the next question is from Brent Zionic. He said the picking list template shows the warehouse address, but the delivery slip does not. Is there a way to get that on the delivery slip as well?
Sure, and that's a really great question, and it is actually automatically on the delivery slip. I just didn't show you. Let's go ahead and let's dive into inventory. Let's go into our delivery orders. And it's also, though, I didn't create addresses for any of my vendors or any of my destination location. It's going to be on this level. So the address is going to be attached to either the customer card or it's going to be attached to the vendor card. And you would have that pretty much configured. If you're doing e-commerce, that information is going to be pulled when that customer inputs their information, and the system is going to have it here as the destination location.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. The next question is how do you set up a new warehouse? From Dolly Sprint 79. Also, yeah, sorry about the shirt. It's kind of not working out so well on the the screen, but I'll keep it on Jessica then.
Sure. So this is how you would set up a warehouse. Let's go warehouse here. Right now we have demo company. And I didn't do this because it actually adds, it adds a lot of functionality. The same functionality that was in the initial warehouse. So we can call this warehouse, let's say warehouse 1. And we can add a short name. Let's just do 1. And you can set the address here. Then you can assign the routes that you want within this warehouse. To make it very simple, let's just go ahead and save it out. Let's look at our dashboard. Now this is warehouse 1. And now what's pretty neat about this is then you can go into internal transfers. Let's do an immediate transfer, and let's transfer from our stock to a destination location, warehouse 1. Let's pick an item. Let's do Beaver Drone. Save that out. Okay, and then we go into inventory. We have one transfer here. Now let's see, and I might have to configure a few other things. Let's go ahead and validate this. Okay, let's edit this out. You know what, I didn't actually configure that correctly. So let me do this here, do an immediate transfer. Transfer to 1, warehouse here, add the product. Let's just do the camera. And we're gonna have the unit of measure here. Save this out. Excellent. And then validate it. Okay, yeah, I'm so sorry. This product, I have some weird configurations, but basically what it's going to show is it's going to go from, we have it being an item that's going to be internally transferred here, and then when we have it, it's going to actually, we can have it to be, oh, and that's because I didn't set up the configurations on the transfer, to be received in this warehouse, or we can have it come in as another internal transfer here to be sent to another warehouse or a location within this one warehouse.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question we've got from Dolly Sprint 79. If I have a product A at multiple locations, how do I have the BOM to pick from one specific location? Does that
Sure.
make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. And that's actually a really great question. And that's a matter of assigning camera A to B and all of its components. Let's actually drop into Beaver Drone to be set to be within that one location. So you would do it on the product level, and you would assign these to a specific location. Or what you could do is within Odoo, you could have it where there's custom routes that you can create. So on Beaver Drone, you could have drone frame 1. We see that it's in a separate location, but we can set a route for it to be immediately internally transferred over, and then receipt, and then the creation of Beaver Drone will be on hold, waiting for that transfer to happen. So that's an example of an advanced route. And again, if you have any other questions, just let me know.
Awesome. Cool. And then I guess actually the last question that we have for Jessica is kind of a general one from Mohanad El Tayab. Sorry if I butchered that. He just would like to see a little bit of reporting and how reporting works with inventory.
That's a great question. Let's dive into our master data. And Odoo has very robust reporting, and we can do it on all current inventory or at specific inventory. And right now we're looking at this very linearly. Okay, we're seeing within inventory the stock moves essentially that have happened. Okay, we have one in location A, we have one in stock here, or you can look at this from a pivot table view, and you can break this down into reserved quantity or here, and you can have this be pretty much any kind of way to look at this that you'd like. So we can dive into camera A here. Okay, let's click here, and we can have it where we want to sort by serial number, or we want to do by product. We can also do it by the owner or the package. Let's do it by product. It's going to spit out all of our products. What's also neat about this is we can look at, okay, location A, and then we can also narrow down further. Let's look at the removal date, last updated, locations, serial numbers. And you can do this And also what's great is you can export this document here. You could download this data for a really great data set. So you could define really data in many different ways, data parameters within Odoo, and have that be sent out. Another thing that's actually really cool about our system is we have something called Add to My Dashboard, and Dashboard is this separate module here. And it allows you to define data parameters throughout all of Odoo and save that to your dashboard. So say you want to, let's go by master data products, and say we want to group by, add custom group. When we want to group by, let's say internal categories, apply, and we want to save this to our dashboard. And let's change it to categories. Categories added to dashboard, and so every day each user has the ability to customize their own dashboard and see a bird's eye, either from a macro or a micro bird's eye view, into any type of data parameter within Odoo. Also note that this is, you can move this around. It also allows you to go straight into the system. So if you want to narrow down and go into drain from frame 1, you can do that here. I kind of went on a tangent there, but just to show you that, because that is a really cool feature.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. You
Okay.
guys, thank you so much for all of your questions. And, as mentioned, if you'd like to schedule a meeting with Jessica one-on-one, actually, let me pull this up real quick. If you'd like to schedule a meeting with her, check on the YouTube description, and you can find a link that way. If you like this video, as always, click like and subscribe. And if you have any additional questions or you'd like to get more advanced with things, you can email me at webinars@odoo.com or Jessica at jeb@odoo.com as well. And with that, you guys, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And have a great day.
Bye.